Hi, I'm Kate Newton, and I'm the online learning librarian at Loyola Notre Dame Library. Today, we'll be talking about academic writing. This video will cover the important features of primary versus secondary sources and scholarly versus popular sources. We'll also look at a new category of sources called gray literature. All of these types of sources can be used in your classwork, and it's important to understand when and why to use each type. First, we'll look at primary versus secondary sources. Primary sources are first-hand accounts of people who are connected to an event. Sets of unanalyzed data and original research are also considered primary sources. Secondary sources are written after an event or a research study occurs and provides an analysis or interpretation of the event, data, or research. Books about a historical event, data analysis, and literature reviews are all examples of secondary sources. Questions to ask yourself to determine if a source is primary or secondary can include: where does this information come from? Did the author witness this event themselves? Here are a couple of primary sources. Some are easy to spot, like the handwritten letter on the left, while some may look like a regular article, like the one on the right. The letter would be a primary source for any events the author witnessed and then wrote about in that letter. The study on the right is an original research study, which is considered a primary source in many fields, such as education. And here are a couple of secondary sources. The book on the left is a very popular history of the Civil War that uses primary sources to analyze events of the war, while the paper on the right is a literature review. Literature reviews may use primary studies in their analysis of a topic, but they are considered secondary sources themselves. The next type of sources we'll look at are scholarly versus popular. In this section, it's important for me to note to you that we don't consider one type of source bad or good. We will never say that popular sources are always bad and you should never use them. Instead, we emphasize that some source types are more appropriate for your work than others. If you aren't sure if a source is appropriate, please check with your professor. The most important features of scholarly sources are that they are written by experts for students and other experts in a specific field, and they are reviewed and edited by experts as well. In contrast, popular sources are written for a general audience and are edited by folks who most likely aren't experts. Things to look out for. Scholarly sources are often visually unappealing. They have plain text or boring colors, and there's not much to catch the eye. Popular sources are often printed on glossy paper with fun fonts, bright colors, and lots of images. So let's look at a couple of each. So these two publications on the left are fairly plain. The covers are nice, but they're not very eye-catching, and they both start with a journal of, which is a tip-off that this is a scholarly publication. The articles inside, like the sample on the right, are mostly text and are written in more technical language. Now let's contrast that to popular sources, which are the opposite. These magazine covers are colorful with appealing images, and the page on the right from the inside has an interesting layout and several different fonts designed to catch your interest. Finally, let's talk about gray literature. Gray literature is a new category for types of writing that has been around for a while. It consists mostly of materials that are unpublished or have been published outside traditional academic or commercial publishing. It's often published directly by the authors in a format that's easy to access and that gets the information out to the public much faster. Gray literature includes conference proceedings, internal reports from government agencies, newsletters, dissertation and theses, and may even include things like blogs from government agencies like the National Institute of Health. And here are some examples of gray literature. On the left, we have a dissertation, which incidentally is also a great place to find more sources for your own research. We also have an internal institutional report and a newsletter from the National Institute of Health. Thank you for watching. I hope the information in this video will help you on your academic journey.